stable tax, energy, and regulatory environment in the world, ensuring even
Oh my
stronger
gosh.
returns for partners.
They
who
said
invest
that
in
it couldn't be
America.
done.
And as we assume leadership of the
But I'm here. I'm awake. I'm alive. And I'm early. It's very painful. Very, very painful. But because of the time difference, I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, 6-9 hours ahead. So it's not 8:30 in the morning for them. It's 8:30 in the morning for us, though, and I'm never waking up this early again. Holy shit. Why do people do this? Why do people do this? Why do you choose this life? Get up so early. Why did people decide that this is how humans should function? I disagree. Good morning, everybody. I did not shower. I did not want to shower. And I still don't want to shower. I had planned to use the face cam, but I didn't do stuff at my desk. I instead cleaned up around the desk. I didn't. My job chose for me. Well, stop. You should tell your job to stop it. Isn't that what everybody does? Ah, yes, the Wef. Oh, look, there's my another alarm. I have like 17 of them. There might be another one that goes off. Oh, man. I was just about to go to sleep. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Why are we up? Because we have Trump's Wef speech coming for us soon. Don't really care too much about what he's got to say or anything like that. I think this is a recap earlier today. What do you mean earlier today? Like an hour ago? Holy shit. Why are people up so early? Yeah, that's the sound of me dying from being up early. The 12 alarms just woke up to mine. Bless. Bless, welcome in, everybody. It's a glorious Wednesday. I'm very stuffy in the mornings. I literally just got out of bed. So we're going to watch this today. We're going to watch. We're going to have some fun. And then I'm going to go back to bed. Then I'm going to draw for the rest of the day. You've been up for 12 hours already? Your sleep schedule is upside down? Ooh, I do. That's my favorite, though. I like to do that. Can we roast the new girl boss of Nintendo of America? Oh, Jesus, dude. I already made a little post about her on Twitter, but yeah, she uses bridge language, and there's no secret. It's pretty obvious why she chose that particular venue with that particular language. I got shit on heavily on Twitter. Turns out I was right. She uses DEI and HR and worst. And most importantly, she uses bridge language. That belonging bullshit. Yeah. Imagine having to virtue signal that loudly that you have to be that upfront about what you're doing. I love stupid people, man. I love stupid people. And it's not that I'm calling her stupid. She obviously has a good bit of information in that very, very prosecutory brain of hers. But it's the people who need to hear it that are stupid. That's I think the worst part. I don't know. Good day, comrades. Good day. Is Trump about to speak? Hopefully soon. Supposedly he's supposed to go on at 8:30. I'm not too sure if they're on time or not. I hate the Wef, so I have no idea. It just says soon. Right now I've got it on Fox and something Raw Live Now from Fox. Just some guy was like, hey, I'm gonna be here, and we'll cut to commercial break or something. But Trump always starts when we do that, so if he does, we'll come back. It was really cute. It was cute. Many European allies oppose acquisition. Don't care. It needs to happen. Don't care what the quote unquote allies want. They're more like leeches. More like little leeches. What's going on, Wef? What's a Wef? Oh, the World Economic Forum is the unelected governing body of the world. All of these people are hopefully going to be ripped a new one. If Trump doesn't rip them a new one, I would be shocked. I predict that he will be ripping them a new one. I predict that he will bring up the corpo house buying bullshit. I do believe he will continue to pat himself on the back, as he should, for preventing wars. And I believe that he's going to tell them all, look, we're just going to do this and you're going to fall in line, or we won't, and that's fine too. And then he'll say things like, oh, we get along. We've gotten along great. Don't know what happened. Keep up that rhetoric because it's smart. Hello on Kick. Abyss. I know. Savvy up this early. Who dis? And Chris, hello. Yes, it's It's a terrifying thing when I'm up early. It's a terrifying thing indeed. I missed the speech. Is he going to implement the Insurrection Act already? No, he's most likely not going to do that until there's some friendly fire on the left side, or until a truly, purely innocent individual is mobbed and attacked by the left. And that's just because that's kind of what has to happen, so that way rogue judges don't impede him. They'll impede him anyway, but it won't be as bad. That's just unfortunately how it's got to go down. That's just the smartest way. As much as we might want the act to get put out now, we understand it. We know that it should be used, but unfortunately, the left is, well, I mean, we still live under the false claim of a democracy, you know. The Wef gives me juice vibes. Oh gosh. Happy mornings. What's with the holy shit? This is breaking news. It is. It's the Wef. It's not early. You never went to bed. I actually did. I tried to go to bed early. It worked out okay. Like I don't think it was actually that bad of an attempt at me going to bed early. I'm definitely going back to sleep after this. Definitely doing that. Oh man. Just Ventura needs to become governor again. I know Virginia's fucked. Oh, Virginia's so fucked. I know that much. Also, Iran's just dying more. Is their internet's still cut out, isn't it? I haven't seen like too many daily updates, but the mainstream media also doesn't want to talk about it all. So there's nothing for some of the usual commentary people to rebuttal against. And without additional footage from anybody for anything, it's a little bit difficult. But I know Asmongold's been really good about talking about it, and a couple of others have been. I got a whole 3 hours of sleep last night. Feels good, man. Feels good. You live in Rhode Island. Talk about a blue state living hell. Mornings heavy. I'm so sorry. Oof, I'm so sorry. I know what it's like though. I live in a blue state too. We're right beside Virginia and Maryland, which is painfully expensive. Then there's, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. We wanted to move to West Virginia. That's actually where I grew up for a little while too, after Texas. And it's definitely cheaper, but the prices are still just as bad from COVID. So we almost bought something, but then we lost out. We lost out to a fucking corporation as usual. It's just the way it goes. That's one of the reasons why I was really passionate about the thing that came out recently, and why I was able to write the stupid AI song about it, which by the way is live. You guys have been asking for it to get posted on YouTube. Oh, I did put that out there. The thumbnail is horrendous. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh. I feel that. I've been sleeping early in the evening or late afternoon and getting up around 3 to 5 a.m. See, my dad does that. He is literally like the happiest man in the world, because he goes to bed at 9 and then he wakes up at like 4 or 5 and he's just ready to go. I'm like, holy shit, dude, stop it. He's obviously like, what, more than twice my age? So it's like, I'm getting beat out here by my own old man. Which, whatever, that's no surprise. No surprise. But granted, he does go to bed much earlier than I do. Oh, man, dude. Look at him filing in. All these unelected bitches commanding the world's elected bitches. It's crazy. Why did anybody think that this was a good idea? Why did anybody decide to play along with this shit? I don't understand it. World Economic Forum. It's not a forum, and it's certainly not a representative of the world. If it was, they'd have poors like me there. Granted, I wouldn't go because that would require me to get up at a certain time and shower. Actually, no, I would love to go and roast every single person there. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Didn't expect to see you up. I said I would be, and I is. You lost a few bids to Corpos, too. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, man. But no more, hopefully. No more. Hey, Sav. Melee is speaking after Trump. Just got the timer on. Oh, shit. Well, I mean, if he's speaking directly after, then perhaps I can be easily swayed to stick around. I think it would be interesting to hear what he has to say, especially after Trump. Like world eugenics fascists. No, see, if they were eugenicists, that would be based, because then they would say stupid people shouldn't breed, right? But that's not what they're saying at all. You know what they're saying? They're specifically just being racist. That's it. They're being racist, and they are being crazy, and they just want to control the world. They don't really give a shit about what the genetics are behind it. They just want to dominate it. That's it. They want a slave race? Well, they've already got that. Humanity is just a slave to them, because we are. We're not revolting. We're clearly more than happy to be ruled by unelected retards. All these guys have bunkers. That they do, and those bunkers mean nothing now that people have heat sensitive drones. There's been some weird stories. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the crazier conspiracies floating around. There's a whole world out there. A whole world out there of videos. I'm about to start getting really existential. Make some tea. To make this tolerable and make my throat easier for you guys to listen to. Excuse me, sir, this is my domain. Are you saying that you'd like to enter the domain of the wife and consume her tea? All right. There is water. 1 second. I need to make my own commercials so that way I can play them here of like fake businesses. Just memes. I think that would be really funny. And I want to turn the overlay into a TV. I actually got really inspired by Zenless Zone Zero for that. I'm going to figure some of that stuff out. Oh, never mind, because now there's effort put into it. But you don't have to do any of the effort. Have you heard about the sonic weapons we supposedly used in Venezuela? No, but it wouldn't surprise me. Create your own Adult Swim style bumpers. Hey. I'm going to get you little fishy. Do you guys like the little fishies? So it's a game called Chill Aquarium. That's really cute. It does really fun music. But I thought that it might be cute to have something interactive on the overlay, and like it's an actual game. Oh, there's the thing. Hey, look, I'm interacting with it. The fishies are eating. It's just like an aquarium that just runs in the background. It's cute. It's cute. Yeah, the Borks. It's the morning routine. Oh man, how's the adopted cat? The baby's doing pretty good. She's doing. She is orange. Oh man, she is freaking orange. I need to post some videos of her because like she's growing so quick. I might do like a YouTube thing, like a compilation with all the videos, just a Kirara comp. Because like we've had some funny videos of her. Last night, she and Gemini, our bigger cat, they were playing. And I guess he doesn't expect her to literally follow every step of the way. And so when he leapt over to the cat tree onto one of the little self-containing beds, she followed, and then he didn't move to go to another one. And so she ended up hugging him, and then he's hugging her, and then they just both froze. It was the cutest thing ever. Oh, man. Did you name her Trump? No, I named her Kirara. Half sort of Genshin, but actually initially because it's an Inuyasha reference. And she's just kind of like, the blonde on her kind of reminds me of Kirara from it, so. Oh, man. We're still waiting. Still waiting for Trump to speak. It's 8:31, so it's 1 minute past the mark of when he's supposed to be speaking. Let's see if they're saying anything.
The European standards are different. So are you asking European partners change the standards?
No, we don't care about what they're saying right now. We wait We wait. Yeah, excuse me. Try to take a drink and yawn. Ugh. I had a bobtail cat I called Kirara. I missed that cat. Aww. I love bobtails, man. I love them. I love them. You guys excited, though? I am excited. I'm excited for this. I am very excited for this. I vaguely remember Trump being late on purpose for one of the WEF type meetings. Wonder if he'll do the same to make them all wait. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's just more coordination down there. I thought maybe they were preparing. Why do they have a live chat? I'm scared to look at the live chat just in case, but like, I don't want to. USA 51st. Greenland. Oh no. Gold buy or sell. Oh man. Thailand loves USA. I love watching the chats of these kinds of things. Because there's just all types of people in there, you know? It's just goofy. Goofy goober goodness. Oh, man. Speaking of goofy goober goodness, did you see that stuff with the guy that Nick Shirley called out? The guy who edited the interview? I can't believe that shit. That we had a live, real look at what a real grifter is because the guy was literally lying to his audience. He was editing out the parts where he agreed with Nick and then only posted the parts to make it look like he was disagreeing with him. He was straight up lying to the people that he was marketing to. I think that's crazy. I think they all deserve each other, obviously. But holy shit. Like, imagine completely lying and misrepresenting your own beliefs to sell to an audience that wants to fucking skewer you the minute you deviate from the allowed talking points. I don't know, man. I feel like it's actually worse. Not for Nick Shirley. He's now completely irrelevant to a certain degree. Like, nobody's really talking about his elements. It's what, I think his name is Andrew? It's what Andrew did and how he tries to offer himself to an audience for things that he clearly doesn't believe. Turned, a 3-hour interview into 1 hour, I think? Yeah, you should always have a raw channel. Like, it's one thing, like, to post clips, but you should always have a raw interview. If you are an independent who has made their way through this world on YouTube, he's not a mainstream media guy. You have no reason to hide anything. You should post the full unedited things. That way people can go look and see it. Who cares what somebody sounds like? Oh, see, here's the guy.
But as you could see in that live image, it looks like folks are at the podium here where President Trump is expected to speak.
Oh,
let's lift up the audio and listen in.
In the last quarter century, a sitting president of the United States has come to Davos.
Let me know if it's
only
too
twice.
quiet.
Both times it was Donald Trump. So when I asked to serve in this new role that I have, he was one of the first leaders I called and invited to return. I first met the president about 25 years ago, but I worked most closely with him during the early months of COVID. This was March 2020. Markets were under extreme stress. Some economists were warning we could be headed towards a second Great Depression. What stood out to me during the extraordinary period was a president's willingness to bring together people from governments, from business, across institutions,
If he's
across
talking about COVID, this is something
to think
that
differently,
I disagree with.
and importantly, to act decisively.
The handling of COVID
That
was god-awful.
instinct to act, especially in pivotal moments,
And he
is
still
one
stands
reason
by
I
all
think
that
he
stuff and the
values the
vaccine
World
today,
Economic
which he,
Forum.
I guess sort of has to.
It is a unique
Whatever.
institution that brings together the largest combination of government officials,
Yeah, I can't tell if he's trying to help
business
or hurt
leaders,
him.
technology leaders, civil society and NGO leaders, anywhere in the world for a genuine dialogue. And particularly,
Trump's about to
importantly,
speak.
this year.
About to speak.
Thankfully, this group is meeting under better economic circumstances than during the
Oh,
pandemic.
we were in a way longer
But once
lockdown
again,
in our area.
we're forcing very
Free,
serious,
centralized control to
different
more harm
economic
create. Very
conditions
true.
around the world. One of the central challenges that is impacting me.
I don't care about
how
your little introspective bullshit, dude. Just put the president on. Who the fuck are you? Holy shit. I'm sorry. I really don't care about anybody else speaking at the WEF, aside from Melee. Or I'm trying to think. I don't think the Japanese Yaman's gonna be speaking.
Designed to give more Americans a direct stake in the growth of the U.S. economy.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. Give us Trump. This is your 5 minutes of fame, dude. You're fumbling it. I like the chat. I can just see like a couple lines of the chat at a time. Full buy gold.
A serious conversation.
Oh
in the spirit
man,
of dialogue.
so funny.
Discussions where the world
This has to be entertainment. Trump. Yeah, exactly. Give us Trump.
would be incomplete without the president.
Yeah, I'm still. When I look back on COVID, it's like I want to be angry, but I just can't anymore
So let me
because there's no point. It's just wasted energy.
welcome back to Davos.
It looks like Strauss from Red Dead 2. Oh no. I watched Trump's interview with Joe Rogan from a couple days ago. I legit changed my mind about him. The president is a good man. Aw. Yeah, see, the mainstream media just plays little sound clips and then constantly says the worst of the worst and then never do follow-ups to correct themselves. That's what that's what a good journalist does. Here we go. It's the big man himself. Oh, I thought they were about to kiss. He was going to go in for a kiss. Here we go. Call them whores. Call them whores. Do it. He won't. But a bitch can dream.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland, and to address so many respected business leaders, so many friends, few enemies,
They're
and
laughing.
all of the distinguished guests. It's a who's who, I will say that.
Notice how they're all laughing, but
I've
they'll all
come to
condemn him
this
to their
year's
followers.
World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging,
Yesterday
investment
he was
is
busy,
soaring,
Then he hopped on a
incomes
on a
are
fucking
rising,
plane, and now he's delivering a speech.
inflation has been defeated,
When
our
does this man
previously
sleep?
open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable.
They should be
And the
nervous.
United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth, and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. But now,
Give us
after
the
just
gamer
1 year
words.
of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite. Virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has
I
set
don't know the
52
exact
all-time
number,
high
but
records.
It's,
So that's in
I know it's setting
1
records,
year,
I think.
52 records, adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks.
Yeah, imagine actually
and
growing your
people's
country. Wow.
savings. People are
amazing
doing
what you
very
just
well.
do
They're very
things.
happy with me. Since my inauguration, we've lifted more than 1.2 million people off of food stamps, and after 4 years in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country. Think of that, $1 trillion substantially less than that. In 4 years, we've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, and we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment. That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close.
God damn.
Just over 1
So you're
year ago,
supposed to grow
under
your
the
country?
radical left Democrats, we were a dead country.
That's what
Now we are
civilization
the
taught me.
hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, the United States economy is on pace to grow at double the rate that was projected by the IMF just last April. And with my growth and tariff policies, it should be much higher. I really believe we can be much higher than that.
Hell yeah.
And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations. The USA is the economic engine on the planet, and when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history. When it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down, and you follow us up, and we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly. My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe
It's
like
true.
a year and 1 month.
Done. Yahoo! Thank you so much for the tippy.
It's
Okay,
happened
what's
very
all the
quickly.
Celtic
This
force?
afternoon, I want to discuss
To
how
start
we've
doing
achieved
their
this
thing.
economic miracle,
that.
how we intend to raise
that.
living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore.
Amen,
They're not
brother.
recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good. But it's not heading in the right direction.
Amen.
In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam, and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations.
It's true.
The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening.
No, they do.
And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it.
They all understand.
Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my
He's so
plans to
nice.
end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building
going
ineffective,
off? Yeah, I know.
money-losing
It's not really a
windmills,
good time
we're
to
taking
jump in there
them
and add
down
any
and not
context.
approving any.
Penance
Instead of
test.
empowering
Loser, thank you so
bureaucrats,
much for the tippy.
we're
He's treating
firing
government like
them,
business and not a criminal
and they're going
enterprise. My
out
man
and
is doing
getting
the right
jobs
thing. We needed a businessman
in the
in
private
office to fix
sector
it. Amen.
for 2 and 3 times
An unowned one.
what they were making in government. So they started
I was
off
in
hating me
Davos,
when we
they'd
fired
have
them,
me
and now they
arrested.
love me.
There's no way I wouldn't be
Instead
able
of
to
raising
not
taxes
call
on domestic
Larry
producers,
Fink a
we're
cocksucker
lowering
to his
them
face.
and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls,
Under daddy's
the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs. We've cut
can't be
federal
owned
spending
and go
by
after the
$100
banks.
billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in
Which is
the
what he's doing.
single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that. driving
can't.
inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden
You might
administration.
have loyalties.
Every month,
terms of
they
ownership,
went up
no, it's
and
different.
up and up.
I don't think people
I
understand
promised
the
to
big deal
cut
about going
10
after the
old
banks.
regulations for every single new regulation, but instead I've cut actually till this point 129 regulations for every one new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation,
Daddy.
we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing, that's the one they like, and bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us. It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint.
No tax
And now
increases
we've
huge
upped
for
it. This is
streamers.
a
Yeah, it
10-year
is. I didn't think we
program,
were gonna
not a
get
1-year
included.
program. But you're allowed to deduct everything
crazy.
in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history.
this
We
the
were
State of
losing
the
more than
Union?
$1 trillion every
Might as well
single
be.
year. And it was just wasted. It was going to waste.
In
But
fact,
in
for
1 year, I
overtime, if you
slashed our
do,
monthly
or
trade
people putting in
deficit
extra
by
time.
a
And that's how it
staggering
should have always been.
77%. And all of this with no inflation, something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing
European
the
Union.
right thing. I thought I was doing the right
Waiting
thing.
for the roasting.
Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country.
Quadrupling.
Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%.
Numbers, Mason.
And
What do
that
I mean?
number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our
I
partner,
don't
too.
think he ever actually
The
did.
European
Like, he
nations,
certainly doesn't do the
Japan,
usual
South Korea.
wall touching
They're our
that Lindsey
partners.
Graham does
They've gone into
every few
massive
years
deals
to
with us,
re-
especially
restore
on
his
oil and
power.
gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal because, as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending
Wish
jobs
those
and
was turned
factories
into the VA because
to
of
the
how
world's
much it sucks being a
worst
kid.
polluters. They are indeed polluters.
I'm sorry.
Under
yeah. No, Doge.
Sleepy Joe
Doge got
Biden,
screwed.
new
fuck
domestic oil and
Republicans.
gas leases fell
That's why
by
nobody wants to be a
95%.
Republican.
Think of
Fuck
that.
'em. The
And
rhinos
they
are
wonder, why
worthless
was
pieces of
gasoline going
shit.
up so fast?
Fucking other side of the
The
same damn
gasoline
coin of
actually topped
corruption, man.
$5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing.
What do you mean? They
Under
had a
my
Christmas
leadership,
tree.
U.S. natural gas production is at
There's
an
been a
all-time
Christmas tree
high
at
by
the White House
far.
every year.
U.S. oil
Come
production
on
is
now.
up
Let's
by
not spread lies.
730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels,
He didn't
we're going to be
touch the book.
splitting up with
I
them.
think everybody does it once,
and they'll
but
be
what I mean
making
is, like,
more
Lindsey
money
Graham does it every few years.
than they've made it in a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been been given great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's very true.
Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states. $2.30 a gallon in most states.
One pump
and
chump.
we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers.
It's so bad.
I've signed an order
Nobody
directing
would call it a good
approval of many new
Good
nuclear
morning.
reactors.
Thank you so
We're
much for the tippy.
going
Dang it,
heavy
late tax
into
again. Morning.
nuclear. I was not a big
Good
fan
morning.
because I didn't like the risk, the danger. But they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy.
Yes. Go nuclear.
And we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe.
Nuclear
And we're
energy.
leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants,
The biggest
which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are.
Let's
Got to
say he
hand it to
manages
them.
convince the Danish
But we're
of,
creating
yeah,
as much
so
or more,
we'll write
and we're
some
letting
Greenland.
them do that.
How low
I'm
can
very
the oil
proud of it. It
prices
was
go? Dude, that'd be wild.
my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system.
It's true.
And I came up with the idea, you know, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history.
It's
the Green
true.
New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000.
Yep. Great big
You're supposed to
scam.
make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard.
Rename Greenland to Trumpland.
Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in
But I have the
2017.
Constitution for
And
it.
it's not
And
the
the biology.
current chancellor's fault.
I could handle
He's
that.
solving the
long
problem. He's
nights.
going to do a
Holy
great
fuck.
job.
I stuttered so
But
hard
what they
there.
did before he got
The
there, I guess that's why he
long
got
nights.
there.
That'd be so good for me.
And
I'd be
electricity
happy.
prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just
about
1/3 of the
pollution, but then
total
we're bringing up
energy
India or
from all
China.
sources
Yeah, it's
that it
really
did in
frustrating.
1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very
Germany
low
recently
levels.
came
Think
out
of that,
said, we
1/3.
fucked up. The
And
chancellor
you're
came
sitting
out
on
and said, we
top of
fucked
the
up.
North Sea.
I
They
fucked
like
up.
to
He
say,
said,
well, you know, that's depleted. It's
shouldn't have
not
got rid of our
depleted. It's got
plants.
500
No shit.
years. They haven't even
Fucking
found
retard.
the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill.
Windmills sound so
Environmentally, they
tempting,
don't
right?
let them
Wanna
drill.
hear how they're
They make it
unrecyclable?
impossible for the oil
Exactly.
companies to go. They take
They're expensive,
92%
take 100 years to pay off, and you've
of the
lost money
revenues.
by that point.
So the oil companies say,
they
we
won't
can't
make
do
it
it.
100 years.
They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. is sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place.
See, actually what he's doing is genius. He's appealing
and they
to the
are
people.
losers.
He knows
One
no
thing
one else is going to
I've
deliver the
noticed
hard questions.
is
He knows
that the
no one else
more
is gonna deliver
windmills
the
a
hard
country
facts. He
has, the
to
more
do it,
money
which is
that
crazy
country
for a president
loses,
to
and the
have to
worse
do.
that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills. And
Isn't
yet I
that
haven't been
interesting?
able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them. But they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use the thing called coal, mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas.
Actually, it's
They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit.
there's some videos.
And they're doing
from
just
Washington.
fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that
Record-breaking
it continues to
floating
go.
wind
They're more very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive
Yeah,
migration,
it's so unscripted.
more
I love it.
vulnerability to hostile
We love stupid
foreign
people.
adversaries, and
Without
much,
them, we wouldn't know
much
how smart we
smaller
really are.
militaries.
I'm just kidding. It's
The
concerning how
United States
stupid
cares
people
greatly
are.
about
Holy
the
shit.
people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe. Scotland and Germany, 100% Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West, because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. These beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation
50%
more clear
Scottish, 50%
than
German,
what's
100% orange, 200%
currently going on
American.
with
Fuck yeah,
Greenland.
freedom.
Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland?
Oh my God, please do.
I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela.
Oh no.
We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland.
Ooh.
So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces
He
to
just
hold
came up from behind with
the
a
Greenland
chair.
territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won, We won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back
Jesus Christ!
to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it.
True.
But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated.
Such a
They
great
said,
word.
we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles
Greenland is already in America.
went up.
You just won't admit it.
There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They
He's
said,
out
what
of line,
the
and he's
hell
right.
is
No, he's
going
perfectly
on?
in line.
Those
Perfectly in
Those
line.
defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know. Everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing. But there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This
Because if
enormous
Russia comes, they're not
unsecured
going to send
island
a
is
nuke
actually
into
part
Europe.
of North
Nobody
America.
gives a fuck about Europe.
On the northern
They're going to
frontier of
send
the
the
Western
nuke, the
Hemisphere.
big
That's our territory.
To New York, Chicago.
It is
to
therefore
any
a
of our
core
military
national
bases.
security
They're not gonna
interest of the
nuke
United
Europe.
States of
Europe
America.
will
And in
fall
fact,
very easily.
it's been our policy for
They're gonna
hundreds of
have to
years
nuke
to prevent
us,
outside threats
not
from
Europe.
entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been
Rare
stronger than we
earth,
are now.
5 times.
That's why American
too early
presidents
for
have
that.
sought to purchase Greenland
It'll turn into a
for nearly
slurp.
2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently.
He's
Much
so
more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses.
Just 200
But as you
million?
know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United
subtitles
States,
are very scuffed.
just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have.
YouTube's
They've
AI
acquired.
system
There's
is
nothing wrong
god-awful.
with it.
They recently
Many of
changed
them,
it to
some
their
went in
whatever
reverse,
thing is.
actually, if you look.
It's the
Some
same
had
thing as, like, their
great
mod
vast
system, basically.
wealth,
It's just fucking shit.
great
And then their
vast
auto
lands
translate
all over the world.
shit.
They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it.
I wish
We give
he
so
wouldn't-
much and we get
I know
so
why he
little in
does it.
return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years.
But I wish he'd just pull us out.
And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person.
I just wish
You
we'd
wouldn't
pull out
have
and stop
NATO
playing
if I
these
didn't
games.
get involved in my first term. The
The
war
fuck
with
co-pilot.
Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I win in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and I only get negative press.
Yep.
That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press.
They didn't even bring up the
But
fact
you
that
also
his
need
admin
those
is the
other
first
elements.
one to acknowledge the debanking of sex workers.
I
Fuck
inherited
the left.
a
The left does not care.
terrible, terrible
Always
situation.
bring that up. This is the first
If you look,
administration.
the border was open,
to actually
the
make
inflation
moves
was raging,
to
everything
lessen
was
the
bad
criminal
with the
severity
United
of
States when I came
marijuana,
into office.
and
But I
actually
also
care about
inherited
the
a mess
debanking
with
of
Ukraine
adult
and Russia,
entertainment
something
industry.
that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion.
Fuck.
I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan. I settled other wars that were. Vladimir Putin
Are you talking
called
about the thing
me
in Virginia
Armenian, Azerbaijan.
They also got rid of the.
He said, I can't believe you
minimum
settled that one. They were going on for
pedophilia.
35 years. I settled it in 1 day. And President Putin called me. He said, you know, I can't believe I've worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that
Yeah,
one.
I think he's always been after Greenland, but that's because.
What
there's
does
a
the
lot of
United
potential there.
States get out of all of this work, all of this money,
yourself at
other
Northern
than
Lights,
death, destruction, and massive amounts of cash going to people who don't appreciate what we do? They don't appreciate what we do. I'm talking about NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP. But they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then, more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General, who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark.
Oh, hi,
We
Mark.
never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable.
Jesus
But
Christ!
I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it, as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. after I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today. We have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II. Those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that,
Yo, that's so
100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force.
Movie.
100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past. So that was the end of the mothball story.
Personal ships are the way to go.
So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally it's not defensible that way.
I think
totally.
He's doing a call out.
And number
too,
two,
with that,
psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not.
Canada mentioned. Here we go.
Prime Minister yesterday, he wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing.
You only live because I let you.
But that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Bibi, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff.
Oof.
But they had a lot of courage, and they were good fighters, and they did a good job, and we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things, all perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And we say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31,000.
Mainstream media never
That's
talks
this
about
room
the death.
times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it. 30,000 soldiers died in 1 month. The month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath over there.
That's a big tragedy.
And that's what I want to stop.
dead.
It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people. Look like you.
Like, there's
look like
no
some
men
of you
left.
right in the
There's
front
no men
row.
left in, like,
They
Ukraine
go to
and
war.
Russia.
Their parents are
So
so
many men
proud.
have died.
There he goes. Comes back. 2 weeks later, they get a call. Your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II. They keep going, they'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering, how many people they've lost. They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, see?
Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts. And I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped, because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me.
Iceland or Greenland? He keeps mucking
They
those
called
two
me
up.
daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy.
What?
He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection. It's a very small ask compared to what we have given them for many, many decades. But the problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us if we gave them the call. Gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. We're going to hit 50,000, and that stock market's going to double in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening. But this is a good example. After giving
Take them both.
NATO and European nations trillions and trillions of dollars in defense, they buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster, much faster. You saw that. I put a cap on the salaries, and I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that, and he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment. F-35s, F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47. We'll have to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the stage 6. It's supposed to be the first stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember.
We'll never forget America didn't like that.
Secure America means a strong NATO. And that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful. Our borders are very strong. And above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity. And we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy. and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever,
True.
it's terrible. Costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to this country should never, ever be forgotten. It's early, but he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The auto pen did much of the damage. The auto pen, he was the auto pen president, because I don't believe a sane president would have ever signed the kind of things that he signed. But now grocery prices, energy prices, airfares, mortgage rates, rent, and car payments are all coming down, and they're coming down fast. We inherited a mess.
He wants it all.
But we've done a hell of a job in 12 months. Under my most favored nation policy for drug prices, the cost of prescription drugs is coming down by up to 90%, depending on the way you calculate. You could also say 5, 6, 7, 800%. There are two ways of figuring
6,
that.
7.
But we have a favored nations policy that every president wanted, no president was
Did you
able
just
to
dump
get.
me
I
on
got it, and other nations approved it. And I had to use tariffs in order to get it because they said, no way. In other words, a pill that costs 10% in London costs $130. Think it costs $10
There you go.
in London, costs $130 in New York or in Los Angeles. And I'd say, boy, that's bad. Friends of mine would say, you know, we go to London, you can buy the stuff for nothing. We go all over the world, we can buy it for nothing. Because basically America was subsidizing every nation in the world. Because presidents allowed them to get away with it. It became very tough. So when I called up Emmanuel Macron, I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses.
What?
What the hell happened?
Yahoo! Doug Lelouch, thank you so much for the tip. I have 2 spots on my bingo card
But I
until it's full.
watched
Hell
him
yeah!
sort of
What's the
tough.
remaining stuff?
But he was at $10 for a pill. And I said, Emmanuel, and I have all the big pharmaceutical companies are in total agreement. It wasn't easy, by the way. They're tough, smart. They've been getting away with the scam for a long time. But they gave it up. But they said, you'll never get the countries to approve it. I said, why is that? Because they won't. They always said, we're not paying any more. Get the rest for the United States. So over the years, they stayed the same. We just went up, up, up. And I mean, we would pay 13, 14, 15 times more than certain countries would. So I said, no, they'll approve it 100%. Sir, you'll never get them to approve it. I said, I guarantee you. But I actually started with Emmanuel, who probably is in the room too.
They had bingo
and I like
cards.
him. I actually like him. Hard to believe, isn't it? And I said, Emmanuel, you're going to have to lift the price of that pill to $20, maybe $30. Think of that. That means it's a doubling of prescription
we need a couple
drugs.
bingo cards for this.
Might
Holy
be a
shit.
tripling, might be a
Super
quadrupling.
bingo.
It's not easy. No, Donald, I will not do that. I said, yes, you will, 100%. He said, no. You're asking me to double.
Accent there?
I said, Emmanuel, you've been taking advantage of the
Yeah,
United
fabulous.
States
Thank you
for
for the
30
tipping.
years
Thank
with
the femboy
prescription
shower
drugs.
text. Bless you.
You really should do it, and you will do it. I have no doubt. In fact, I am
didn't shower today.
100% sure you're going to. No, I
good.
will not do it. Because he has to, in all fairness to him, he has to double or triple. Because the world being a bigger place than the United States, it's not that you meet in the middle. You just have to go up some, and we come down a lot. They go up a little, we come down a lot.
Would
So
need to
we're
play
at
blackout?
$130. They're at 10. So they may have to go to 20 or 30. No more than that. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to be doubling or tripling? No. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. The answer is you're going to do it. You're going to do it fast. And if you don't, I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything that you sell into the United States and a 100% tariff on your wines and champagnes.
Holy shit.
And that's about 10 times more than what I'm requesting. And you're going to do it. I don't want to go public with it, but you may make me do that.
Now that's
no,
interesting,
Donald, I will
'cause
do
I don't
it.
believe, like you said, I'm
I
not
will
going to go
do it.
public with this. And then he caved.
It took me,
So the
on
tariffs
average,
fucking work.
3 minutes a
So
country.
the tariffs fucking work.
Saying the same thing.
This
You will
kills
do it.
every
They all say,
narrative.
no, I will not do it. You're asking me to double the cost of prescription. I said, that's right, because you've been screwing us for 30 years.
How's Macron supposed to respond to this?
And they said, we will not do it. I said, that's all right. On Monday morning, we're putting a 25, 30, 50. I gave different numbers for different countries.
Absolute.
This is also national security we're talking about. Not fair. We're not going to subsidize the whole world.
Why did Macron cave?
And every one of those countries have agreed to do it.
Retarded leftist.
So one of the biggest things that I've done is the fact that we have now most favored nation. We will pay whatever the lowest price is in the entire world. So our drug prices are going to be coming down by staggering 90%.
Notice how the
Again, you could say 1,000%, 2,000%.
Never talks
Depends
about
on the way
this.
you want to figure it, but we'll go with the way the fake news likes it better because it sounds, can you imagine a 90% reduction sounds much worse. But drug prices are going to be coming down tremendously in all the nations, and I appreciate them doing it, but they did it, in all fairness, without tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to get it done. After declining $3,000 under Biden, real incomes are up in the United States by $2,000, $3,000, and even $5,000 and more. Home ownership has always been a symbol of health and vigor of American society, but that goal fell out of reach for millions.
I didn't think he was going to bring it up.
Millions of people in the Biden era because interest rates went up so high. Today, I'm taking action to bring back this bedrock of the American dream. In recent years, Wall Street giants and institutional investment firms, many of you are here, many of you are good friends of mine, many of you are supporters. Sorry to do this job, I'm so sorry. But you've driven up housing prices by purchasing hundreds of thousands of single-family homes, and it's been a great investment for them. Often as much as 10% of houses on the market. You know, the crazy thing is a person can't get depreciation on a house, but when a corporation buys it, they get depreciation. Okay, that's something we're going to have to think about, too. I don't know if too many people think about that. You buy a corporation, they buy 500 houses, they buy hundreds of thousands, they buy 500 houses, they can take depreciation. A person sweats and works and buys one house, they can't. But homes are built for people, not for corporations, and America will not become a nation of renters. We're not going to do that. That's why I have signed an executive order banning large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. It's just not fair to the public. They're not able to buy a house.
That's my motherfucking president.
And I'm calling on Congress to pass that ban into permanent law, and I think they will. One of the biggest barriers to saving for a down payment has been surging credit card debt. The profit margin for credit card companies now exceeds 50%, one of the biggest. And they charge Americans interest rates of 28%, 30%, 31%, 32%. Whatever happened to usually?
Based bullshit.
So to help our citizens recover from the Biden disaster, all caused by this horrible president, just horrible president, I'm asking Congress to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 1 year. And this will help millions of Americans save for a home. They have no idea they're paying 28%. They go out there a little late in their payment and they end up losing their house. It's terrible. To unleash innovation in savings and financing, I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world.
Hell yeah.
And to that end, last year, I signed the landmark Genius Act into law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I thought it was politically good, and it was. I got tremendous political support. But more importantly, China wanted that market, too. It's just like they want the AI. And we've got that market, I think, pretty well locked up. If I didn't do it, you know, Biden was totally against it until before the election when they realized that, you know, there were millions of people voting against him over crypto. Yeah. And all of a sudden they loved it very much, but it was too late. They blew it. But it is politically popular, but it's much more importantly, we have to make it so that China doesn't get the hold of it. And once they have that hold, we're not going to be able to get it back.
The bigger problem
So
is
I'm
actually
honored
the
to have
asset
done it.
managers
Finally,
now buying
I've
it all up,
instructed
but, you know,
government-backed
that's fine.
institutions to purchase up to $200 billion in mortgage bonds to bring down interest rates. And I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not-too-distant future. I think he'll do a very good job.
Yeah, I don't
So
know
he
why
gave
people
away
like
some of it.
Master so
He
much. He's a tool.
did give that away. So we have something, got something, but somebody that's very respected. They're all respected. They're all great. Everyone that I interviewed is great. Everyone could do, I think, a fantastic job. Problem is they change once they get the job. They do. You know, they're saying everything I want to hear, and then they get the job. They're locked in for 6 years. They get the job, and all of a sudden, let's raise rates a little bit. I call them, sir, we'd rather not talk about this. It's amazing how people change once they have the job, but it's too bad. Sort of disloyalty, but they got to do what they think is right. We have a terrible chairman right now. Jerome, too late Powell. He's always too late. And he's very late with interest rates, except before the election. He was just fine for the other side. So we're going to have somebody that's great, and we hope he does the right job. Last week, the average 30-year mortgage rate dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. Another major factor in driving up housing costs was the mass invasion of our borders. And I have to say one thing about housing, because nobody ever says this. I am very protective of people that already own a house, of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy. They become wealthy because of their house. And every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house, who for the first time in their lives are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast and people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people that already have houses. In some cases, they've mortgaged their house, and the mortgage would be very low, and all of a sudden the mortgage without any changes becomes very high, and they end up losing the house. I'm not going to hurt, and I speak with Scott, who's doing a fantastic job, and Howard, who's doing a fantastic job, and all of my people. And I always say, look, you know, I can crush the hell out of the market. We can drop interest rates to a level, and that's one thing we do want to do. That's natural. That's good for everybody. You know, the dropping of the interest rates, we should be paying a much lower interest rate than we are. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world, because without the United States, you don't have a country. I mean, I had a case with Switzerland. We happened to be in Switzerland. Maybe I'll give you a quick story. But they were paying nothing. They make beautiful watches, great watches, Rolex, all of them. They were paying nothing to the United States when they sent their product in. And we had a $41 billion deficit. $41 billion with this beautiful place. Flew over it, isn't it nice? So I said, let's put a 30% tariff on them so that we get back some of it, not all of it at all. We still have a deficit, big deficit. We had 41 million. That's a big deficit. And I said, let's put a tariff on. Different tariffs, different places. You're all party to them. In some cases, victims to them. But in the end, it's a fair thing. And most of you realize that. But we put a 30% tariff on Switzerland, and all hell broke loose. They were calling, I mean, like you wouldn't believe. And I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I then realized that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. I mean, us, probably other places, but a majority of the money they make is because of us, because we never charged them anything. So they come in, they sell their watches. No tariffs, no nothing. They walk away. They make $41 billion.
Jump
on
in.
just us.
Say something.
So I said,
Other
no,
things
we
worth
can't do
talking
that.
about,
So I'm
too.
going to bring it up. I still would have a deficit pretty substantial,
I don't
but I
wanna
brought it
interrupt,
up to
obviously.
30%. And I guess Prime Minister, I don't think President, I think Prime Minister called a woman.
A woman.
And she was
Why'd you
very
gotta
repetitive.
specify?
She said, no, 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 you cannot do that, 30%. You cannot do that. We are a small, small country. I said, yeah, but you have a big, big deficit. You may be small, but you have a bigger deficit than big countries. He said, no, 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 please, you cannot do it. Kept saying the same thing over and over. We are a small country. I said, but you're a big country in terms of... And she just rubbed me the wrong way, I'll be honest with you. And I said, all right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it.
I love that
Do
he's
not do
telling
this.
these stories
Thank
right
you
in
very
front of
much,
them.
ma'am. And I made it 39%. And then all hell really broke out. And I was
'Cause it's
paid
a
visits
woman.
by everybody. Rolex came to see me. They all came to see me. But I realized, and I reduced it, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt them. And we brought it down to a, lower level. Doesn't mean it's not going up, but we brought it down to a lower level. But they pay now, tariff. But I realized that we have many places like that where they're making a fortune because of the United States. Without the United States, they wouldn't be making anything. Think of it. Switzerland made $41 billion on us. And as she said, it's a small place. And I realized with that, I don't know, I was so, because she was so
Keep
aggressive.
in mind, there's a massive time difference.
And
he was literally just
I
taking
realized in that
questions from the White House.
conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places, I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in
6,
this little
7.
area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me. They don't want to stare me in the eyes. But they're taking advantage of, everybody took advantage of the
Man is
United
memeing on us.
States. But I've been very fair, and I gave them a tariff, and it was fine. But I realized that without us, it's not Switzerland anymore. Without us, it's not any of the countries that are represented here. And we want to work with the countries. We want to work with them. We're not looking to destroy them. I could have said 39, 40%. I could have said I want a 70% tariff, then we make money with Switzerland. But Switzerland would have been probably destroyed, financially destroyed. I don't want to do that. But we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. I hope Scott's listening to this, because we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. Without us,
Scott, write that down.
without us, most of the countries don't even work. And then you have the protection factor. Without our military, which is the
God,
greatest
he's
in the
laying
world
it
by
in
far,
thick.
without our military, you have threats that you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. You don't have threats because of
Absolutely
us.
laying it on
And
thick.
that's because of NATO. One other thing, and I have to say it so importantly, in the old days, and I used to say I'm the youngest in the room. Now I'm among the older. I hate to say it. I don't feel old, but I'm among the older. But I remember not long ago, 20, 25 years ago, when good news came out about, let's say, the United States. The United States had a great quarter. The United States had a great month. All the stocks went up. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now when they say, the United States had a record quarter, it's unbelievable how well it's doing, all the stocks crash because they say, oh no, inflation, inflation, they're going to raise interest rates. And they do. Some of these stupid people like Powell, they raise interest rates.
Shit on him.
And what they do is they stop you from being successful. It used to be when we had a great quarter, a great month, great earnings, great anything, any good news, the stock market went up. That's the way it's going to be. We got to do that again, because that's the way it should be. Now when we have a great month, they want to kill it. Like we did over 5%. People were surprised. We should do 20%. We could do 25%.
Yeah, why not?
When we
Pump those
announce good numbers,
up.
and the
Just do
reason
it.
is they're so petrified of inflation. And growth doesn't mean inflation. We've had tremendous growth with very low inflation. In fact, growth can fight inflation, proper growth. So we want to get back to the days when we announced great numbers, because we're going to be announcing phenomenal. You know, all these factories that are being built at record, thousands of businesses are being built
Trump can live forever.
right now. Remember, $18 trillion is invested. I think the second number is 3, and that was China many years ago. Investments in the country from outside. 18 trillion, nobody's ever seen. And that's money coming in and building things, factories. Thousands of businesses are being built, thousands. Hundreds of big factories, car plants are moving back to the United States. They're coming in from Canada, they're coming in from Mexico, from Japan. Japan's coming in and building plants here in order to avoid tariffs. They're coming in from China, they're coming in from all over the world. We have more plants being built now, car plants, than we've ever had built, even in the heyday from the 1940s and 50s.
Build that car.
And they're bigger. They don't use renovations anymore where they take an old plant, they rip it down, they build a brand new plant, super modern plant. But it's happening at levels that nobody's ever seen. In 2024, the U.S. built less than 2 million new homes, but Biden admitted more than 8 million new migrants.
That's insane.
And those days are over. In 2025, for the first time in 50 years, the United States had reverse migration. Boy, that was nice. And these were criminals that were being taken out of our country because they allowed people to come into our country from jails, from gangs, drug dealers, murderers. 11,888 murderers. We've gotten most of them out. And then ICE gets beat up by stupid people from leadership in Minnesota. We actually are helping Minnesota so much, but they don't appreciate it. Most places do. You know, Washington, D.C. is the safest place now in the United States. It was a very dangerous place to walk. And now you can walk with your wife, your kids, right through the middle of the city. Right now, Washington, D.C. is as safe as it gets. It was one of the most unsafe. I had to admit, we sent in the military, the National Guard. Within 2 months, it was great. Within 3 months, it's like a really great place and a safe place and a beautiful place. It's even been cleaned up. The graffiti's gone. The fences are gone. We don't have to worry about fences anymore. All of the places, the grasses are cut and replaced with new grass in many cases. It's all going to happen in the spring. But Washington and D.C. is beautiful again, and it's safe. New restaurants are opening up. They were all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. Restaurants in Washington, D.C. are all opening. Memphis also, Memphis, Tennessee, New Orleans, Louisiana. We were there for 3 weeks. We've cut the crime down by 64% within another month. Well, virtually
and
no crime
nobody
there.
talks about this.
We can do that
the
all
media
over.
Is totally against them.
We're going to help the people in California.
Isn't that crazy?
We want to have no crime. I know Gavin was here. I used to get along so great with Gavin when I was president. Gavin's a good guy. And we're going to, if he needed it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd love to see. We did help them a lot in Los Angeles, a lot with the early in my term when they had some problems. But we would love to do it. I will say this, if I were a Democrat governor or whatever,
pussy bitch.
I would call
Look
up Trump.
at him.
I'd say, come on in,
so
make us
mad.
look good. Because we're cutting crime down to nothing.
He's
and
so mad.
we're taking people out, career criminals who are only going to do bad things, and we're bringing them back to their countries. But where we've done it has been amazing. And we have a capacity to do it at much greater levels.
He's going to have to answer.
We're cutting illegal aliens off welfare and other government benefits, and I have directed that starting immediately, there will be no more payments to sanctuary cities because they are really just sanctuaries for criminals. They're really protecting criminals, and those are the ones we have to get out of the country. Murderers, drug dealers, the mentally insane. They emptied their mental institutions into the United States. And despite that, we have the lowest crime numbers that we've ever had in the history of the country. Just came out. But equally importantly, we're cracking down on more than $19 billion in fraud that was stolen by
the crime goes down.
Somalian bandits. Can you believe that
Here we go.
They turned out to be higher IQ than we thought?
He's still going.
I always say these are low IQ people. How did they go into Minnesota and steal all that money? And we have, they're pirates, they're good pirates, right? But we shoot them out of the water just like we shoot the drug boats out. They're not pirating too many boats lately, do you notice? When they go out into those boats, they want to take over a $1.5 billion tanker loaded up with oil.
Look at him, that
and they
big
say, we're going to
smile
blow up
going
your
away,
boat. They have
and now he
powerful
said
weapons. You hit the side of the boat, you blow the whole thing up.
bitch.
The insurance companies are petrified, so they say, just give them the boat. We'll give them money instead. And I don't do that. We blow them right the hell out of the water. We see them going out, we blow them out of the water. We don't have any pirates so much anymore. If we do, they won't be there long. We've cut down with the hitting of the boats that are loaded up with drugs, including submarines. Can you believe they actually buy small, they call them mini subs, very fast. They're meant for drugs. We've knocked out 2 of them. The Democrats say they were fishing. You have ruined somebody's fishing weekend, I would say. A submarine is not a fishing boat. You don't fish.
True.
But we've knocked
And the
down
harpoons.
drugs by water, the oceans,
How much is a
the
fishing
sea,
submarine? I
by
would never- never ever in my
97.2%.
life.
Think of that.
Harpoon.
And I actually say, who the hell are the
Submarine.
3%? Because I would not want to be piloting one of those boats. We knocked them down, and now we're going to start on land. We're going to knock it all out. The land is the easy part. What we did on sea is incredible, and that's our great military. The situation in Minnesota reminds us that the West cannot mass import foreign cultures, which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. I mean, we're taking people from Somalia, and Somalia is a failed, it's not a nation.
$44,000
Got no government, got no police, got no military, got no nothing.
for a subsea.
And then we
scooter,
have
16,000.
this fake congressperson
Yeah,
who
we
they
wanna start
just
your own
reported
charter
is worth
business.
$30 million. You believe this?
Tourist
Ilhan
business.
Omar talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you. The explosion of prosperity and conclusion and progress that built the West
Hang on.
did not come from our tax codes. It ultimately came from our very special culture.
You've all seen these, surely.
This is the precious inheritance that America and Europe have in common. We share it.
These are apparently
We
called
share it, but we have to
Bonito
keep it
Indian
strong.
Semi-subs. The glass
We have to
bottom
become
ones, I've
stronger,
taken
more
these in the
successful,
Caribbean.
and more prosperous than ever.
They're $135,000.
We have to defend that culture and rediscover the spirit that lifted the West from
Guys,
the
I'm starting
depths
a new
of the
business
dark
venture.
ages to the pinnacle of
Savvy subs.
human achievement. We live in a incredible, changing period.
Very high tech
It's an
for him.
unbelievable time, but we have to take advantage of the time
Those things
that
make
we're
me
in.
nervous. Not
in our hands
for build
are
quality, I've never seen one
technologies that
sink
our
or anything like
ancestors
that.
could
I
scarcely
just
have.
don't like being like
I mean, they couldn't have
submerged.
even dreamt some of the things that we see today. And so rapidly
Hello,
they're
Congress.
produced. I mean, AI, 2 years ago, nobody ever heard of the term, and now everybody's talking about it. And it can have some very good purpose. It could also have some dangerous
With
purpose.
Logitech
And
controller,
for
I
that, we
know.
have to watch out. But some tremendous things are happening because of it. And we're leading by
Sometimes better
so
than
much.
Savvy
We're doing
Slider,
so
real
well.
business, by the way. What
But
the fuck?
opportunities that are bigger and grander than ever before in human history are right before us. It is the pioneers in this room. Many of you in this room are true pioneers. You're truly brilliant people. Just your ability to get a ticket is brilliant because you have about 50 people for every seat. I don't know what, that's Larry. Everything Larry touches turns to gold. He made this very successful. But you're in this room, and some of you are the greatest leaders anywhere in the world. You're the greatest brains anywhere in the world. And the future is unlimited, and to a large part because of you, and we have to protect you, and we have to cherish you. I always say we have to cherish our brilliant people because there aren't
Come with
many
some
of them.
Sandwiches. It could.
So together with confidence, boldness, and persistence, let us lift up our people, grow our economies, defend our shared destiny, and build a future for our citizens that is more ambitious,
Holy
more
shit, he's wrapping
exciting,
up.
more inspiring, and greater than the world has ever seen. We're in a position to do things that nobody else has ever even thought of before. And many of the people in this room are the ones that are doing it, and I want to congratulate you, and I'm with you all the way. You can do things that nobody else can even think about. So I congratulate you on your tremendous success, and the United States is back, bigger, stronger, better than ever before, and I'll see you around. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Holy shit. That's my president right there. I hope you guys had fun with that speech. Holy fuck, Mazda, thank you so much for the tippy. Jay says you clip those toenails and he hands. God bless. As long as Jay's not confusing names for being a lawyer. That was still the funniest thing. Wait,
This
what?
was supposed to be a nice fire chat, Mr. President.
Yes, good.
You
I got set up. I did know.
You made the job for the moderator really easy. Thank you, Mr. President, for your speech. I do have a few follow-up questions, if it's okay. Sure. I don't think I should start with Greenland, maybe. I'll start with the economy. The U.S. economy is doing really well. But how to sustain this growth moving forward? Because there's always a recession looming around the corner.
Well, you know, the one thing about economies and recessions is sometimes you get hit unexpectedly and there's nothing you can do about it. All brilliant people, but there's nothing. One example was COVID. We had an economy going at levels like nobody had ever seen my first 2.5, 3 years. And then I heard the word pandemic, not COVID. They came up with that name over a period of time. We won't get into that. But I heard the word pandemic. And I had a poll come out that was so strong just prior to that, and I was with the two best pollsters, McLaughlin and Fabrizio, and they said, sir, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, if they came back and ran as president and vice president, they couldn't beat you. And then what happened is the following day, I was told to stay tuned because there's something really bad happening in China. There are bodies lying all over Wuhan, right around that certain building that we talk about. I always said it came from Wuhan. It did come from Wuhan. And they were body bags. We saw it by satellite.
We still got to keep going. I'm
Strange
still
things
hungry.
happening in China. And so it began.
I feel so
and
weird
we ended
not
up with
being
the
able to
COVID
jump
and the
in
whole world suffered.
and have a decent
we did a
area to
phenomenal
talk.
job. I don't think we got the
I
credit
know
we
this is
deserve.
normal for some people. I
We did
typically don't
something
cover them
that
live, but like, holy
Operation Warp Speed, which some people say was one of the greatest military feats ever.
Yeah, I know.
We did
So
a
that's
great
twice
job.
now COVID
Used
got
our
brought up.
military, used a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a good thing to
But
point out.
sometimes you get hit with things, nothing you can do. You get hit with
So
things like
because
that
they don't have anything
unexpectedly.
negative to really say about him
And we
now,
got
they have to
through it,
keep
and
drudging
when I,
that up. There's actually no
left,
reason to bring it
the
up,
stock
really,
market was higher than it
especially in
was
the manner that they're doing
previous to
it.
the
And
COVID
I do
coming
find this to
up.
be an interesting
And,
tactic
that was, I
because
call
they're
it a great
they're trying to
achievement.
basically
But
remind
things
people that
happen.
he was
Bad
in
things
charge of the
happen.
COVID.
The things that we can stop
he
are
quote
wars if
unquote
we're
was in
smart.
charge of it.
That we can
I
stop.
am
Those
willing
are
to
a
be
matter of being intelligent and
a bit
having
more graceful
intelligent
than
people on the
when
other side, 'cause
during
wars are the worst
2020
of
when I
all.
was very
Wars are worse
angry.
than anything.
'Cause I was
but we can
very
stop
angry.
wars
I think a
because
lot
that's
of people
sort
were
up
very
to us.
angry.
But
But
things like dust
where was I
flying
going
in
with
the
this?
air, wherever COVID comes
Oh,
from,
he's
or
trying to
whatever
remind
comes,
his base that he
sometimes you
was
have to
quote
be a little
unquote
bit
in
lucky.
charge of it,
But
but
we
he
are
was most likely
po-
being
we are
lied to.
poised to have
And so that's something that a lot
an
of people
economy
still
like
feel
no
sour
other,
over.
not only in this country,
I've
but
since
anywhere.
tried to move
You
on
know, when you hear the
from
kind of
those feelings
numbers that,
because the anger is
I can
directed
tell
at
you
people
that
who will
Scott
never be arrested.
Bessent was with me the
Anthony
other day.
Fauci
He's
should
looking at
absolutely be
numbers as I
arrested.
can.
That whole network
And
needs to
that's
be
what he's done
arrested.
his
And
whole life,
then
pretty
every
much his
single
whole life.
person
Scott,
who
you weren't
did
gonna be a football player, I
insurance
don't
fraud
think.
shit or the
Scott was
COVID
not that
money
great at
fraud shit
football,
needs to be arrested.
but he was always good at numbers, right? And he was looking at numbers. He said, "I've never seen anything like this."
Thank you so much for the tipping.
We're
I DM'd you a
poised to
picture of
do
the Saudi
things
sliding place.
that
Bless you.
no other country's ever done, and you know, luck.
I was pissed
I
about
hate
the
to say
pandemic.
it,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
we need a little luck.
I
We
mean,
don't
you
want to
can
get
find
hit by
statements from
something
me during
that
the time.
nobody could have
I was
thought.
very
Whoever
angry.
thought
I was a very angry
we were going to
individual.
hit by a
But I didn't
pandemic? You know,
understand it.
when
I
I heard
didn't
the
look
word
into things back
pandemic, I
then.
said, "Oh, that's an ancient
Dad, how are you?
problem." World War I, they lost 100 million people. It actually ended World War I. A lot of people don't know. The Spanish flu in World War I ended the war because all the soldiers were sick. The soldiers were so sick on both sides, and that war was raging, and they were all dying from the Spanish flu. They were sick as dogs. They couldn't fight. So, you know, you don't know how that would have turned out. But so we do, I mean, subject to that, and I always have to put a caveat in for it, but we're poised to have the greatest growth of any large country, I think any country that there's been. When you look at what's happening in the United States, it's really amazing.
Good morning.
Thank you. One thing that maybe keeps you up at night, I know you don't sleep that much anyway, Mr. President, is the debt. The U.S. debt is high, is now the biggest expenditure on your budget. how to get out of that impasse?
Well, the big thing is growth. I mean, growth is the way. If we grow like this, we go from having at 37 trillion dollars, we go from having high debt to low debt. But we also are cutting expenses, you know, the old-fashioned way. We have extraordinary growth. I think we're going to be growing our way out. I think we're going to be paying off debt. We're taking in tremendous money from tariffs fairly. And again, I'm using them judiciously, you know.
How does he know? Does the guy know? He does know the way.
Gotten much more. I could have asked for much more. But
you
we're
just
using
hold
them
it, but like, what if
judiciously.
you really got to go?
I think growth, most importantly, and then cutting costs.
Are
Now,
adult
if you
diapers
take a
really
look at
this popular?
Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud and other things. People going to airports, they came into the country, they don't have 10 cents, and they're leaving with hundreds of thousands of cash in their bags. When we get to that,
and
and
made to wear
our
diapers,
DOJ, Pam, and Todd, and
get
all
out. I'm just kidding. That's great. Please.
Here, I can tell you, Scott Bessent is working on that. It's a priority, right? You have your whole team.
Well, yeah.
We're in there looking for where this money is coming from, how much it is. It could be more than $19 billion. Can you believe that? That's just one state. If we were able to
all Gundam pilots
cut out
and Space Marines wear diapers,
50% of the fraud, 50%, and we should be able to do better than that.
Yep.
We would have a balanced budget without having to talk about even growth. So we have a lot of options, but we're working very hard on that. That's a big deal. It's not just the protests, the fake protests done by agitators and, you know, professional insurrectionists. That's what they are. They're professional troublemakers. But we are looking very strong at the money, too, in Minnesota and other places.
I think, Mr. President, also the $500 billion invested in artificial intelligence and the frontier technologies last year also were driving growth exponentially in the U.S.
Well, AI has been a big factor. AI is massive. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg showed me a plant where he put it over a map of Manhattan, and it was basically the size of Manhattan. This is not, I said, you got to be kidding. It's a plant that was miles long, miles wide, very high. I don't think it was as high like the Empire State Building, but it was high. And it literally covered most of the island of Manhattan. That's called a big plant. And, you know, when I heard they're going to spend $50 billion building it, I said, what are they, you know, if you spend $50 million, you can build a nice little shopping center. If you spend $500 million, you can build a good shopping center. But how do you spend $50 billion? When I looked at this thing, I said, you think you'll be able to do it for that? It's amazing when, you know, some of the plants that I see, and I see them all. And again, so big is we're letting them build their own electric generation. This way we have no problem, and otherwise they'd be complaining. There'd be nobody able to, you know, we have an old grid system.
That's interesting.
And not only that, they're going to sell at a very cheap price the excess electricity that they create back into our grid.
So he's saying we're letting them build their own
some
plants.
Problems for certain states.
I don't know if
have
this phrasing implies that there was regulation beforehand that would have prevented
there is
it.
fierce competition between
That's
the
just
U.S.
really
as the largest
phrasing.
economy in the world, 27% of the global GDP and 5% of the global population, not doing that badly, and China. And we know that that competition is very tough on AI. I know you're heading to a state visit to China in April. How do you see the U.S.-China relationship moving forward? Are you able to combine this tough competition with also collaboration?
That's something I want to learn.
So I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi and with President Putin. Talk about, you know, the larger powers. But I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi of China. He's an incredible man. What he's done is amazing. He's highly respected by everybody. And I do now. I mean, now I have good. It was very severely interrupted by COVID. I used to call it the China virus, but he said, do you think you could use a different name? And I decided to do that.
Sort of.
Because why should we have a problem over that? But I would do that, and they would.
You're a true diplomat, huh?
I became a diplomat for the first time. Well, you know who taught me that? Marco Rubio.
Oh,
he said,
so
let me
cute.
teach you about diplomacy. Hey, any guy that gets approved by 100% of the votes Think of it. He got liberal Democrats and radical right Republicans to approve him. He's the only one. The next one was like lost 45 votes, right? But he got all 100 votes voting for him.
That is
and at first I wasn't happy about it. I said, wait a minute, I don't like that. And now it turns out that the Democrats probably wish they didn't do that. And Marco has been fantastic. Marco, stand up, please. You have done a great job as Secretary of State. He's going to go down as the best Secretary of State.
Greg,
and
thank
Scott,
you so much for the 5.
and we have Susie, who's the first female Chief of Staff, and she's the best Chief of Staff, too. And I see Howard Lutnick, who I know spoke, and Howard's fantastic. Some of the deals we're doing are great. And I want to pay particular attention because we have Chris. And Chris, you got up and spoke, I think. He's the #1 oil man in the world, because I was going to put
He's an oil
Doug
man.
Burgum, who's fantastic. I don't know if Doug's here. Is Doug here?
All that oil.
Doug Burgum is fantastic. He said, sir, there's one man better than me. And he introduced me to Chris. And he turns out to be. So we're drilling more oil and gas now than we ever have by
Like an oil wrestler?
almost double.
Yes,
Is that right,
I'm
Chris?
pretty sure that's what we're talking about.
And on top of it,
Rubio and
we
Vance
got a lot
have been
coming
Trump's
out of
best guys.
Venezuela.
And I know for sure
so
Vance
we're doing
said
great. The
negative
country
things
is
about
just
Trump
doing great. We
prior.
have great people. Thank you.
don't
and I
know
see
if
other
Rubio
people. We have Steve Witkoff. We have Jared. I got so many people. I'm in trouble because when I go back, they're going to be people with long faces. Sir, you
it's
going to
be literally, it's going to happen so fast.
And we have a lot of the
AI
greatest
bubble
people
is
anywhere in the world.
popping.
I know them all.
In terms
So,
of
I
VC
won't
investment and this
continue
rapid
because we'd
rise
be
of
here
trying
all
to claim
day.
the #1 slot.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But
We
in
also
terms
know,
of like actually
that
progressing
you're a
as a
deal
useful
maker,
tool
and,
after that instead
then
of being
maybe
shoved
coming
down
back,
everybody's throats, that's when the
to
real AI growth
Greenland
will happen.
and,
Right now, they're just trying to
Ukraine.
capitalize off of the
What
low-level
kind of
bullshit, and then the
deal,
installed CEOs of
in the
companies
end
that they
do you
never
see
should
between
have
the
been
US
installed into
and Denmark
are going to learn a very humbling
because
lesson.
you know I guess you see it now as a negotiation going on, or
Well, it's costing Denmark hundreds of millions a year to run it. And Denmark's a small country and wonderful people. But, you know, it's very expensive. It's a very big piece of ice. And it's very important. I mean, I don't want to repeat the speech, but it's very important that we use that for national and international security. That can create a power that will make it impossible for the bad guys to do anything against the perceived good ones. And it's a great block for Europe. Just like, you know, Denmark was supposed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't spend the money. They didn't spend anything, almost.
I think they're two independent
we'll see what happens. I just say this.
Bitcoin
NATO has
mining
treated the United States of
relied on
America very
GPUs,
unfairly. We never
obviously,
asked for
but the AI
anything.
bubble is
We
worth
never got
on RAM and
anything.
everything.
We actually took care of the needs of NATO for years and years, which I felt was always unfair, so I got NATO to pay, because they're rich countries.
Every now and then I
But
expect to point
I think
at
it's
an
time
oil
that NATO
man.
step up. We're helping them with Ukraine. Without us, I think Putin would have gone all the way. I think we have it. I think there could have been a World War III, if you want to know the truth. If Kamala was elected, or Joe, any one of those,
We're not
those
interested
thinkers,
in leasing.
I think you could have
Leasing's not
ended
gonna
up in
work.
World War III.
You don't have legal rights to the land to protect it.
I will say
and
Steve
defend it the way
Witkoff
that you
has
need
been
to.
dealing incredibly with. But we're not going to have World War III. We
Because
want to
when
get
you
it
defend
stopped. We're not going
property,
to have World
there's
War
a
III.
chance that
I think
you're
if
going to end up
I wasn't
destroying
elected,
it,
I
and
think
then if
that
you
could
only
have
lease it, what
evolved
they
into
can do
World
is
War
then
III.
claim
It
that
was a
you have to
very,
pay
very
for, like, all of
bad
their
situation, and it still is.
So it's like not
but
only
it's
do
not
we
that
not
kind
own
of
it, but
bad.
then
It's
we have
bad
to pay
because
for
so many
repairs
young
that
people are
we
being
caused
killed.
while defending it.
How close
why
do
would
you
we want to
think there
defend
is
something belonging to
on an
somebody else
agreement
when it
on
should belong
Ukraine?
to us?
I had the pleasure of
That kind of
speaking
thing.
with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner yesterday.
Perry
I know they're
and
working
Justin
hard on
Trudeau
it.
at the WEF?
I
Christ. Well,
know
Justin
that they're
Trudeau's a
also
WEF member, I
traveling
think.
now. Do you see this very close, or
Perry's such a
still?
piece of
Well, I
shit.
hate to
Such a
say
little
it. I
snake.
thought that was going to be so. I settled 8 wars plus. And I thought that was going to be one of my easier ones. Not the easiest. Some I settled in a matter of hours. Because I'm good at that stuff. You know, the United Nations should be doing this. I shouldn't be doing it, but it doesn't matter. It's got to get done. Saving a lot of lives. We're saving millions of lives. With Ukraine, Russia, there's
I'm about to
tremendous
poop.
hatred
Jesus Christ.
between President Zelensky and President Putin. That's not good. That's not good for settlements. We know from dealing. There's abnormal hatred. With that being said, I think Russia wants to make a deal. I think Ukraine wants to make a deal. And we're going to try getting a deal done. We're getting,
A lot
I
of
think,
people are
Steve, I think I
ignorant
can
to what
say that
the
we're
AI bubble
reasonably
actually means.
close.
They
What
literally
happens
think AI
is
going away
oftentimes we'll
entirely.
have a
It's too
deal
late
with
for that.
Russia.
China will
Russia's
invest whatever
set,
they have to do,
and
propaganda,
President
X amount.
Zelensky
Yeah,
will not
exactly.
do it. You saw
People are-
that when he was in the Oval Office. I was not happy. And then we'll have President Zelensky wants to make a
Okay,
deal,
he's
and
like basically
Putin doesn't
repeating
want to
that
make the
stuff.
deal.
Yeah, the
It's
AI
a
bubble
very,
literally just refers to the investment and the
difficult
aggressive
balance.
expansion of it,
And it's
but
big
what's being
time, and
expanded
it's-
is mostly
it's just-
vapid shit
it's-
that's kind of
it
like
is,
basically
you know,
just
to use a
shovelware.
word, it's a
On
bloodbath.
top of
It's
that,
horrible. What's
AI,
happening?
I hate that we
It's a
use
drone
AI,
war.
but
The
machine
drones are
learning is
killing,
not as
you know,
trendy or
thousands of
easily
people a week.
marketable.
Thousands.
But we do
have
not
to
have
get it
real
stopped.
AI. There will
So
always
I
be tech
believe they're at a
advancements
point
being made and
now,
trying
I'm
to
gonna
push
meet
towards
with
it. Do I think
President
humanity
Zelensky
will actually
later
achieve
today.
real fucking
I believe they're
AI?
at a point now where they
That passes the
can come
actual
together and
artificial
get a
intelligence
deal
test?
done.
No, I don't think
And
that
if
we're
they
going to hit
don't,
that for like
they're
30 fucking
stupid.
years.
That
There's
goes
some
for
people who
both of
think
them.
that we can,
And I know they're
and
not
that's just because
stupid.
they can't
But
see
if they don't
reality
get
and
this
fucking
done, they are
fiction.
stupid.
But I promise you, we're
So,
nowhere near there. We're nowhere near
I
there,
don't want to
and
insult
the tool
anyone, but you
itself
gotta
is
get
not
this
going
deal
anywhere.
done. Too many
It's
people are
already
dying.
integrated
It's
too
not
much
worth
in a
it.
useful manner in other
President
areas.
Sisi is sitting on the first row here. He
First row,
spoke
thank you
earlier
for the-
today and also
for the dollar.
complimented you on the Gaza deal. I think there will be a signing tomorrow. Of course, there are different views on this, but how important do you think this signing is on the Board of Peace? And do you think this is going to sustain? Do you think
Once
we
people
now
realize that,
will
you
see
can't get to AGI or AFI by
Gaza
throwing computing power at
reconstructed
it.
and billions of US
Once people
dollars
realize that,
invested?
let people look
I
at how
do.
much
I
they're
mean, I
spending
think
on
we
it.
have peace in
Exactly.
the Middle East.
Zelensky,
There are
I don't
some
think is gone, but I
little
know that there's been
situations
some
like Hamas, and Hamas has agreed to give up their weapons. Now, you know, they were
don't
born with a weapon in their hand, so it's not easy to do. When they were born with a rifle in their hand. It's not an easy thing for them, but that's what they agreed to. They've got to do it. And we're going to know, Jared, over the next 2 or 3 days, certainly over the next 3 weeks, whether or not they're going to do it. If they don't do it, they'll be blown away very quickly. They'll be blown away. You know, we have 59 countries that are part of that whole peace deal. And some of those countries aren't even they're near the Middle East, but they're not in the Middle East traditionally. And they want to come in and take out Hamas.
One of the most important
They want to
things,
come in. They want to do
I think when it
whatever they
comes to
can.
AI
There's a
is that
problem
everything
with
needs to be open
Hezbollah
source so that way people
in
can actually see
Lebanon,
the code.
and we'll see what happens there. But that's a problem. But there are these little
and
flames. But
see,
there's
like, what's
peace
really
in the Middle
going
East
on
now.
underneath the hood.
Had we not
I
gone
actually
in
really
and
hate
knocked out with those big,
companies
beautiful,
trying
we
to
just
have
ordered
a
25
monopoly
brand
on
new
it,
ones,
but
the
such
latest
is the
and the
way
greatest.
of the market, you know.
The B-2 bomber. Think of them. They went in there at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I think
With no
AI
moon,
needs
no
to be
light, no nothing,
maximized
and
in
every
the
single one of
transparency
those
department,
massive
100%.
bombs hit its target. 100,000-pound bombs hit its target. Every one of them. And then on top of it, from a submarine 300 miles away, we hit the sites with tomahawks, which is an unbelievable weapon. So, you know, we did our job. If we didn't do that,
Yeah,
we
I'm
would have
trying.
never
I'm
had
trying
peace
not
in
to
the
be
Middle
too
East.
loud to talk over
And
him, but like it's
countries like
difficult
Saudi
because like
Arabia,
we're off
UAE,
topic and he's talking about
and
something
Qatar
different
could
now.
never have, and others could never have signed anything because you would have had this dark cloud, and the dark cloud was Iran with nuclear. Iran would, if we didn't take them out, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 months. They were very close to having the nuclear weapon, and we hit them hard. And it was a total obliteration. If they may try again, but they're going to have to try from a different area because that area was obliterated. Incredible thing we did. And because we did that, we were able to make peace. If we didn't do that, I would say, Jared and Steve, if we didn't do that, there was no chance of making peace because the countries I just named and other countries could have never signed off. They were afraid. They were afraid. We had a bully. The bully was Iran, the bully of the Middle East. They used to call it for years. They were the bully of the Middle East. They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.
I honestly,
Mr. President, I know you even had to change plane last night, so I guess you didn't have much sleep, but I think you're... But your energy is still there. I know you have several bilateral meetings. I know you're also hosting a reception. So thank you so much for coming back to Davos. Thank you so much. It's highly appreciated.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you very much.
holy shit, that was so much.
All right, that was President Trump as he was speaking at the World Economic Forum. Of course,
Okay. Wow. That was a lot. That was a lot more than I honest to God expected. No, I didn't leave my seat once except for to start the tea, which I never even went back for. I do have to poop very badly, which is why I asked the poop question earlier. That came from a place of like, genuine honesty. Holy crap, good morning. So obviously there's a lot to talk about and break down from there. There's going to be tons of clips going around all day, and it is going to be the talk of the town. Very cool. One of the other things, too, that I just wanted to bring up. Oh, fuck, I lost it. It was relating to the AI thing. I wanted to ramble. I don't remember. Anyway, it's not important. Again, I respect that, Savvy. Bless you. Bless you. But, I'm really interested in these submarines. My gosh. These look, I mean, these are the tour things. We figured it out. We know how they're doing it. Actually, you know what? Hang on. So, if I remember correctly, it's about $20 for a couple-hour excursion. Hang on. I just want to run the math on this. And if I'm not mistaken, you can fit about, 65 people on these things? Or maybe more? Maybe like 100? No, it accommodates 20. Bullshit. I've been loaded into these. These things carry way more than that. We've gotten 60 people on these things. I'm starting to think that they don't run these safely. Anyway, so let's figure that out. So if I go to my calculator, this is very important. So let's see here. If it takes a couple of hours and the ships are at port for let's say 6 hours. Yahoo! And it takes 1 hour to cycle out 60 people. So you can do, let's say 65 people times 6. It's 390 people a day. Let's do that for 5 days. That's 1,900 people. So now let's say you charge them $25 each. It's $48,000. Now, obviously, that does not account for fuel. That's $48,000 fucking dollars a week for 5 days of labor. I'm suddenly now regretting my life choices. What are we doing? What am I doing? How much is the diesel though? Parties. Honor Sharp, thank you for the tippy. Technically, most are submersibles. Yes. And maintenance, yes. However, in 1 month, so if that's 1 week's worth of shit, so that's $48,000, $750, right? So now you multiply that by four times, because then you get the 4 weeks out of the month, and then that's $195,000 a month. Fees, taxes, and registration. I'm sorry, but $195,000 a month, and then you multiply that by 12. That's $2,340,000. Obviously, you have to pay for staff. Obviously, you have to pay for gas and maintenance. Obviously, you have to pay for licensing and insurance. Basically government's cuts. Savvy's Dungeon, she's smuggling operation is totally a thing in a parallel dimension. Not only do I smuggle doujinshi, but I also make money while doing it. Goddamn. And that's for in the before times when these kinds of things were $20. I think you pay more than that. Yeah, now imagine owning multiple. I think I've decided to quit everything. My husband has actually been talking about moving down to the Caribbean after being inspired by a couple of his friends. And he's like, I want to open up a t-shirt shop. And I'm like, bro, why? He's like, you could design everything, and then we could put the funny poop memes on them, and people will buy our shit. And I'm like, okay, but like, you want to bring me, the person who's allergic to the sun, down to a tropical island? Why can't we go up to, the opposite of that? And then he's like, no, I want to do that, and I want to quit my job, and I want to charter boats. But now I'm suddenly on board because of this shit. That's so funny. I mean, even at 50% revenue of cost of operation, $1 million a year ain't bad. Dude, I would be happy if I could just pull out, if I could personally keep like 100,000 of that, I'd be happy. I'd say that is living well beyond the means of which I have ever sought after. I would be even just happy with 65,000. And that's just for me. That's just for one person. So like if just one person made that and then the other person had their other income, whoo. Savvy, how much would you pay your crew? Why would I pay them? I'm considering a change in career. I don't know. It depends how many people come onto the boat, I guess. Benjamin, thank you so much for the squiggly zipperoonie. Day in the life of a vampire girl. Way. But Anyway, so to focus on the actual important things that have happened. Sorry. House committee meeting holding. Wait.
Information. By contrast, the Clintons have flatly refused to appear at all, despite repeated warnings that the committee would move forward with contempt proceedings.
Damn. All right. So I guess shit's actually happening there. Yeah, so all in all, great speech. I'm glad that he talked about what he talked about. I'd say one of my biggest gripes, and will always be a gripe, and I think that this is true for many people, is the way that he still speaks about COVID, but I understand why he does it, and it's just always going to be a point that's just disagreed with, and that's okay. People need to understand that it's okay to disagree with things. It's okay to not like a choice that was made. In fact, it's very okay to be vehemently against a choice that somebody makes, and still not mind them and still want them to be in power. It's okay. So for me, it sucks, but it is what it is. It is what it is. The AI thing, I really do want to look into the regulation stuff for the energy plants, because I'm very interested now in that, because it kind of, like, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, sort of, that the reason why companies haven't been expanding is because of some form of regulation. Regulation is so shit. The areas where we need regulation, we don't have it. And the areas where we shouldn't have regulation, we have way too much. Like, fiction should not be regulated in the slightest. This whole ESRB fucking, I can't even speak now. I'm hungry and I really have to go to the bathroom. The fucking, all the age rating boards, all of that stuff, that needs to go. I don't believe fiction should be regulated in the fucking slightest. I don't think you should have any red tape when trying to set up businesses. I don't think that you should have red tape for your own property. I also think that you should actually own your own property. I think property tax is theft, that kind of thing. Peggy in Europe, yeah, there's a German system that now I have to go learn to figure out what they did with brown dust, to figure out if brown dust requested the 16 rating or if that was just the choice by the UK board. And then I have some other stuff to look into with relating that. And then the areas where we don't have proper regulation, where we need, is our food industry. America is a joke for our food industry. And that's because of Monsanto and the way that the seeds and even dirt fucking works, and then the way that the equipment is leased. Like, it's all a big, huge, disgusting chain of manipulation, and none of it is for the benefit of humanity. The food that we grow is basically poisoning us, and then the food that is allowed to be sold is also poisoning us. When you put something into your body, that is far more important in the scale of things that, you know, should be considered than what you're reading, for example, in your fiction. So, you know, there are food products that just should not be a thing. I'm sorry. That's not just a free market thing. That is literally, if something is linked to poisoning you, you probably should not consume it. Like, there's no reason for synthetic dyes to exist in food. There's just absolutely no reason for it. I'm sorry. I will forever be against that. People can be mad at me and be like, oh, well, you're not for a real, true, and free market then. It's like, well, I am, but I don't think that you should be able to sell a food product that will actively lead to your early death. I'm sorry. I don't understand that. There is a reason that people make their own bread. Yes. Yes. And the people who make their own bread begin questioning what the fuck we're eating. That is an understatement. That is an understatement. Ancient grains, please buy those instead of modern breads, because the modern bread is making you very upset. In regards to food, you have you looked into the correlation between Walter Willett, Harvard School of Medicine, and the FDA? It's an epic rabbit hole. Dude, there is so much to go down. Just the FDA alone and all of the connections for prior individuals who have made choices in regulatory, basically regulatory choices. It's all fascinating. The food pyramid is upside down. I know. We knew that all along. We knew it. But there's a reason why they did what they did, and it has nothing to do with good faith. There's a reason why they did what they did, and it has nothing to do with good faith, and it ties into some of these rabbit holes. Yeah, the food here is really bad in the USA. Will RFK be able to accomplish much on the issue? So he already has, he is making headway. But the biggest thing is, just like with some of these other things that we've all been impatient for, he has to be super careful when exposing and talking about things. You also have to understand that the people who work at the FDA didn't just like switch over. It's still going to be, you know, people who are ideologically captured, disgusting individuals who are not healthy. So, you know, you don't know who you can trust. All of these things just needed to be completely wiped clean and started over. But yeah, it's the wrong shape. It's supposed to be a food box, not a triangle. I would argue it should be a circle. It's a circle because life is a circle. I'm just making my own memes at this point. But I am very tired. We will definitely go over some more stuff later in more detail. All in all, great speech. Very happy about it. Excited for Greenland, Iceland, whatever the fuck we're getting. I think he pleaded his case well. I think him shitting on asset managers made me happy. Him, though, saying Larry is a good guy, that, of course, makes me not happy. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck the deal is going on there. But he has to play nice because they are such a big part of the fucking economy, unfortunately. Like, it is unrealistic for me to get what I want when it comes to asset managers. I want BlackRock to be completely decimated, right? I want them gone. I want the top 20 earners arrested, and I want them gone. It's never going to happen. So I guess he's still playing nice. But the lawsuit, I think, is still moving forward. Let me actually see if there's an update on that. BlackRock 12 AG's lawsuit. Let me see. BlackRock, along with State Street, is facing a multi-antitrust lawsuit. The lawsuit filed November 2024. Okay. The statement claims in August 2025, a federal judge denied the asset manager's motion to dismiss the case. Oh my God! I didn't realize that. Or maybe I did and I already talked about it. There's so much going on. I'm so sorry. Allowing the lawsuit to proceed. The judge ruled that the states had plausibly alleged violation of antitrust, particularly under the Sherman Act and Clayton Act. I don't know what those are off the top of my head. Due to the firm's coordinated efforts to reduce coal output, the ruling was a significant win for the states, though claims related to consumer protection laws in Louisiana and Nebraska were dismissed. That's unfortunate. BlackRock has strongly contested the allegations, calling it yeah, of course they fucking did. Fuck them. The case has drawn attention from federal regulators. In March 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice and the FTC filed statement of interest supporting the state's claim, signaling federal level alignment. See, I missed some of this stuff. The case could have far-reaching implications for how large asset managers approach ESG investing, shareholder advocacy, and passive investment strategies, especially in industries tied to climate policy. And that's coming from Reuters, or however you pronounce it. Reuters, I don't know. You guys make fun of me. I don't know how to pronounce some of these things. Oh, man, that is exciting. Allow ads. Fuck off. Get out of here. Okay, well, I can't view it, but I'm just showing you the source of where some of that information was coming from. That's good shit. That is good shit.
Mr. Blanche.
I'm excited. Right, ESG is still there, not even another acronym. It's insane. Yeah, I know. But this case is so important that it could completely reshape the way that the language is used and if it will be further allowed. So, Savvy hates the Streamlabs. I do. Let's go take a little look-see. Let's go take a little... See, whenever you do that, though, I know it's going to be spicy. Let's see here. Explain to me. Thank you so much, Sun, for tipping. Explain to me why Trump had to go to other countries to agree to pay, had to get other countries to agree to pay more for drugs. All he had to do is tell the drug companies we're only willing to pay what everyone else is. Take it or we do not buy. Well, that's part, so, I mean, he explained it. He got them to pay, we get drugs. We have to import them. Apparently we don't make enough at home. And then he said that he had to go to the countries because the countries, that's where the drugs are produced. And so obviously, they have different pricing at home because of the way that their medicine is handled. Their medicine and their prices are based off of the fact that they have the universal health care, yes? So that means the government is directly involved in the prices. And so if you want to lower the cost for your own country, you have to get another country to increase their costs. Because then the company will just cut us out, I guess. I don't know the further thing with that. I understand it in terms of why he needed to go to the other ones, but why didn't he go to the companies specifically? Because the companies set up, so the companies, I bet you, would just say, well, we have these deals with these countries because of the way that they run their countries. So I think that's probably why. My little fucking uneducated pea brain would say that that's probably the logical chain of command there. But yeah. Gary mentioned your work on ESG as well as Kirsch's work on it during the latest Real BBC yesterday. Just thought I should mention it. What? Gary? He's so sweet. Really? Hopefully it was positive. Hopefully it was all positive. Hopefully he didn't have to bring up the harpy feet. But we'll see. I'll have to check it out, though. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. I appreciate him for letting me come on the couple times that I've been on FNT to ramble about those things. I don't keep up with too much media anymore, so I wouldn't be terribly entertaining on a return because I'm just not up to date. I don't hate watch things. I just can't bring myself to do it. But I appreciate that he's allowed me to actually have have a voice through his show and be able to talk about some of that. That's very sweet. Oh, man. Yeah, it was brief while adjusting his super chat. Bless. Such a sweetheart. The companies could have just gone to the other countries and say that the price is going up. So I don't think that you can do that when things are tied to legislation. That's why. I think that this is a very complicated topic that I don't think is something that, we've necessarily done a deep dive on in terms of the exact payment structure. But like I said, in my uneducated little pea brain, that would just be the way that I personally see it. I could be completely wrong. I could be. But I think that because things are tied specifically to legislation, they have to go to the governments. But regardless, the story itself was fascinating, no? The story itself was very fascinating. Bringing that up and bringing up the fact that he didn't want to go public with it, but now all of a sudden he's going public with the story. Hello, how do you defend against that? Because now reporters are going to go to Macron and be like, "Did you really do this? Did this really happen? Why is Trump saying that you two get along? You're not supposed to get along. You're supposed to be hard on him and not work with him." And so they're going to be very angry. Do you know how early it is? Yeah, it's 10:30 in the fucking morning. I'm not even supposed to be awake for like 2 more fucking hours. So anyway, I'm going to go back to bed. Yeah, hate watching is a sacrifice. Well, it's just pointless now. I used to do a little bit of hate watching in the beginning when it was, when it was funny. I hate watched She-Hulk, but now it's just sad. I can't. I'm sorry. Like, power to the others. Obviously, I will forever remain poor because I refuse to do the work that is necessary. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I won't bother. I have more important things to do, like drawing buttholes. All right? I'm sorry. I just have priorities. Oh, but Savvy, you could draw the butthole while you watch the shitty show and then give us a funny video afterwards. No, I'm gonna leave the funny videos to the experts, and I'm gonna make RimWorld content eventually. I swear. I am stabilizing the 1000 mod pack, and hopefully it'll be stabilized enough to generate 20 hours of footage, which should be able to get me at least an hour's worth out of things on YouTube. I'm very nervous. I don't know why to put this out there. I don't know why. But I don't expect it to get more than like 150 views. Those are the types of things that I really want to make. Just things for me. And then I've actually kind of wanted to dabble in like minimal animation storytelling. I don't know, like a digital storybook. I don't know. It's all silly. Honor Sharp, thank you for the tippy. Most foreign governments also use the threat of making generic versions to force lower prices. Yeah, like there's a lot involved. There's a lot involved when it comes to the pharmaceutical prices and the industry and the medical industries, and then trying to interact with very different systems between countries. But those countries still use the same source for purchasing the drugs, and then some drugs, many drugs, a lot of drugs are patented, so you can't recreate certain ones or something. Some of them are for profit, some of them are not. I don't know. Savvy's busy buying Indian submarines. Yes, I need my El Bonito. I need my Bonito. That is gonna be the next. You know what? That should actually be the loading screen. A little. Put me on a boat with the dogs and the cat and the husband. It'd be so goofy. It'd be so cute. Buttholes reinforce my psyche. Amen. Anyway, I really have to go to the bathroom. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much, Kick and YouTube, for hanging out with me this early, glorious morning. We had a bunch of people watching. I hope that you had fun. I'm sorry if the commentary was lacking. You just don't talk during Trump too much. You know, I think that's, from everybody that I've watched, that's how it's been. And then you do a big old spiel afterwards and before. I tried to do some commentary in there, but you know, there just really wasn't much for us to talk about. And then, of course, it's like, yeah, these are great words. Now we wait. Anyway, I love you all. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you on the Twitter. I'm not against ethical human trafficking, Savvy, so hire me. Holy fucking shit, there'll be no human trafficking. Just doujinshi. Just the yaoi. Just the pretty porn. The pretty drawn porn. That's a terrible way to end the stream.